All right, guys, how you doing? I have with me today Combat Anti-Semitism Sasha, Anila, and boy, do they have their own perspective stories to share from their own visions, own studies, pretty much everything. So I think I'm going to start off with our first speaker, Combat Anti-Semitism, which will be Sasha, and I will bring in. Then the next speaker is going to be Anila, and they all have their personal perspective what the internet is going to be in the next few years. And I kind of see it because the stuff that's in today, there's a lot of political parties who's trying to suspend stuff off the internet. And it is a serious debate into people's life based on what they're doing. So I'm going to start off with our first kid. Come on over, Sasha.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. So you tell me, knowing the stuff that has happened from October 7th, what do you believe in your combating anti-Semitism for the Jews, and you want your people to be treated equally all over the world? In your perspective, based on what's around, what do you think the internet is going to be in the next few years towards Jews?
It is a big question. I don't think it's just for Jews. I think it's for humanity.
Yes.
Internet has been one of the biggest change and transformation of human life in the past 30 years. From a world disconnected, totally disconnected, we've been moved to a world interconnected. A world that people can learn about each other, can influence each other, can meet each other from social network, Wikipedia world. Knowledge has been open. We've been in a world that knowledge has been the less expensive in our history, the more accessible in history. Everyone can learn about anything in today's world, which is the beautiful things. But also on the other hand, what we have seen is what I call the marginal voice of the world, that in a world that was not interconnected, were marginal without the ability to speak to everyone. And that's the first change that we have seen over the course of history, that marginal extremist voice that usually were speaking from their home, didn't have the ability to speak to millions, received this platform, which is the most democratic platform in the human history, and they use the democracy of this platform to reach out to millions with non-democratic messages, with fake news, with lies. And this is a problem of the internet, is the fact that you have a beautiful world of democracy of the information that can turn into hatred. Now, this is the world of democracy in the world. We see that democracy is used by extremist voice to spread non-democratic messages because democracies are weak. Now the big question is, can democracies can protect themselves? Can the internet protect itself against hatred? And then there are models of success and model of non-success. If you go in the European Commission and European Union, they don't accept hatred as a way of life. And they protect themselves with legislations, with more complicated um, regulation to try to create a clean internet, which at the end of the day is not free speech, which America goes with. So there is a big question: can America protect itself in a free speech world against hatred? And the answer is no. We cannot do that because it's representative of everything that's happening in the streets. If all streets are full of hatred, the internet will be full of hatred. If internet is full of hatred, the street will be full of hatred. And today, unfortunately, hatred is everywhere. So it's on the internet, it's outside, it's everywhere. Now, if you look at the future, can we change the course of history? We cannot change the course of history. But we can try to spread different messaging. We can unite voices of peace to counter the hatred by producing more content, more voices to be heard, and then to balance. And this is the role of algorithms. They balance the narrative. The more you have content related to one issue, the more it will appear, the more people will see it. Now, if we let the voices of hatred to be the most prominent voices online, they will win. And the only thing that we try to say is don't compromise. Continue to post, continue to spread. And then the algorithm will learn is not an organized system against the Jews online. There are voices of hatred s- from the Muslim Brotherhood side, from Qatar that are trying to impact the internet. And then you have people of good faith that try to impact on the good side. We need to reinforce the people of good faith because we have freedom of speech policies in our countries and we need to live with them. Now, if we are free to speak, so let's speak. Let's speak and let's speak a lot. Let's expose people that spread hatred. Let's speak about them. let's promote good stories, because we're not going to be able to regulate the internet. So if we cannot regulate it, so let's use it the same way that they use against us. Let's use in our favor. We all enjoy a beautiful internet to have access to information. Can we use it also to create more and more and more and more, and to have more voices active? And I think that this is what we're going to see in the future, is the battle moving also to the internet with more voices. I don't think that everything can be stolen from the history perspective.
I think the important thing is like the internet can change itself depending on who's behind it, what political party is behind it to pay it to change the narrative. But one thing that cannot change is if you order books, books from ancient time period, books from multiple wars, and you read about that, that gives people a different perspective. I actually spoke to someone from Pakistan, and they wanted to learn about Theodore Herzl, the ancient Jew who. Yes. So he asked me for books, and I'm like, "These are the books. So can you order it?" And he's like, "It's not opening." And he could not understand that. Why does the country have certain links blocked? And I'm like, maybe it's the country. So imagine if political party has that much power to block certain sources of the internet from kids ever learning. You can imagine that in the next few years. Like if you go on YouTube now, 90% is just about is what Israel did or what Israel and Palestine, what Israel did to Palestine, right? I have few videos that I saved in my private documents. I can't trace those videos anymore where IDF helped the Palestinians, gave them water, gave them thing, and like helped them out. Even when Hamas was beating them, I helped them out. Those videos you're not gonna find anymore. They're
And
suspended. Now
exactly because of what I said, the enemies are spreading a lot of content. So let's say if you have one video that is saying the truth compared to 100 video that's saying a lie, then we're losing the battle. And it's not about country controlling the narrative. The countries are not really controlling the narrative, beside Iran or non-democratic country. A democratic country today doesn't impact the content on the internet. That's not real. Is the fact that the internet is monitored by algorithms that's looking for the majority of the voices. So we create a narrative that if you have 100,000 videos that spread one message, is going that direction. It doesn't offer the counterpart. Then we're losing the battle there. And this is what I'm saying. The way they just control the internet by posting out content, and they make a lot of content. Go on Instagram, on Twitter, see how many voices are spreading out. We're gonna have Anila Ali speaking after. How many Anila Ali you have in the world speaking the truth? Not enough. How many liars you have online speaking lies? You have
blocked out.
dozens. And this is a problem now. If you have one voice compared to 1,000 voice, you're gonna lose always. And the internet is about numbers as well, and we need to have more people speaking out. It is our responsibility to regain our history, to regain the future. And if we don't do it right now, we're going to lose in the future. So my call as an organization is tell to people, don't stand by, be active, take your phone, speak out, share content, and be proud of your heritage.
I agree with you, Sasha, because right now, based on how things are going, and even in local America, things are not the same what it seems like on social media. There's a lot of disagreements with local people, just in the local state. And then right now, I recently told you that I gave this to someone Jewish in my server, that there has been some disagreement with somebody Catholic, right? That's just the start. It doesn't matter. That's just the start. One disagreement leads to many disagreements. So but how do we connect people? The only thing you have is you show a positive influence to the internet by early stories. You don't worry about the bad ones. There's bad stories in every war. Your concept is to remember other good stuff that has happened in history. But if that is completely terminated by political parties, then yes, you could say it's going to be really rough in the future to ever get around and make connections with people.
Yes. So first, not everything is internet. Not everything is online.
No, it's
Uh,
I call it communication. Learn. I use internet for communication.
let's speak about Anila and Sasha. We know each other for the past 7 years.
I'll bring her up. I'll call her
And
up.
we don't know each other from the internet, we know each other from the real life. We have been fighting together and we're going to continue to do it. So, internet is one world, reality is another world, right, Anila?
Yeah.
Um, and the reality is outside of the internet as well. We
Yeah.
cannot hide ourselves behind a screen, behind a computer. At the end, relationships are being made in many, many places, and we see that it's working. Cam is working day and night to meet people, to share the truth. We have
Mhm.
allies, and we are not pessimistic as many are, because we need people who need to change the course of history. We need people that wants to see a safe America, a safe Western society, and they're ready to fight for it. Sometimes we don't hear about them because they do it their own way, but we need them to be more vocal, and we know that. And it's not easy to be vocal, so we need a lot of courage and a lot of
Yeah.
patience and a lot of trust, because the day that someone will be attacked, they need to know they have a place where they can come to, because sometimes their own community will reject them. And that's the worst case scenario, to be rejected by your community and being a proud Muslim, let's say, that will be rejected by other Muslims because you believe in some kind of freedom. You believe in education, and you believe in a way of life that makes the world better. And you can be rejected for that. And that's a big problem. So we need to fix not just the internet, but we need to fix the human relations and to do more
Yes,
reach to communities, to speak with people. And first of all, you meet exceptional human beings when you do that. And it's fun. It's fun to meet other culture. It's fun to learn about people history, and you meet friends, and then you become a better person. But we need to do it in a way that we counter extremism, and we do it together, and we need to be allies in it. So this is my message today.
I definitely agree with you, Sasha. And you, Anila, you are having your own little personal war, trying to show the world the truth. And every time you bring something strong, you always get knocked off the platform by a political party. Why is that? Especially what you shared recently. You always bring the truth and somebody knocks you over. Why is that?
What should I say? When I get knocked over, there are people like Sasha who will pick me up. And so, this is a really important conversation. And as you may have seen on my tweets, I'm talking about how the One Muslim Women's Civil Rights Organization, we were founded in 2011, so we are not new. We stood with America law enforcement on 9/11, and we countered Al Qaeda, the extremism, the Islamism so many years ago. Yet we have been deleted 4 times by Wikipedia. 4 times our organization has been deleted from Wikipedia. And it took years for me to find the co founder on Twitter. Okay. And all of the ladies that are with Amwec, and of course, you can forget about me, I'm just like one woman, all the ladies have been banned from Facebook, banned from LinkedIn, banned from many other platforms. They were also banned from X. But when X got Twitter became X, I got my account back. And since then, I have been fighting this fight that, we all know the Quran tells us in verse 756 that, Allah's telling people, do not cause corruption on earth. But we know there are going to be people who will cause corruptions. And if they weren't, then how would good people stand out? But there are people who are going to bring us down. But it is my First Amendment right as an American to be able to speak on these platforms. And that's just very simple for all of us. Why are we silenced? And we have been silent so many times when we're fighting Al Qaeda. And then from 2014, as we took a stand on anti Semitism because we saw that happening firsthand, we started getting banned. Why? Because we took on the Democratic Socialists of America right now. And we said, no, you can have your own political opinions about geopolitics of Pakistan, Middle East, South Asia, but if you say that you're an American and you are a faith leader, or you cannot call for the killing of the other, and I'm talking about everybody. But of course, at that time, elected representatives who came in as, oh, we're Muslims, like Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, well, you're fighting somebody else's war. You come in and you take the largest group of Muslims, which are Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, and the others, the Asians, and you start preaching them to hate the Jewish people and their holy land given to them by God. It doesn't make sense. And you have such an army of people, funded by all these Qatari and other Islamists around the world, that we cannot fight you. The good people of America cannot fight you. And our own people, sitting in America and running all of these platforms. Mark Zuckerberg, I called out to him yesterday and I said, Amway on Instagram is not banned because I fought to get my account back. I had 400 something followers, and I went to Israel after October 7th with combat anti-Semitism. I took Muslim leaders. I came back and I'm writing my stories that this is what Hamas did to Muslim, Druze, Christian, and Jewish women. They raped, pillaged, abused. They completely desanctified the name of Islam and Quran.
Let me tell you one thing, Sasha. When you invited me to Israel for the first time, yes, my dad's pretty old fashioned. I'm not gonna lie about that. Me and all the girls get annoyed of him as his daughters, no joke. But my mom's pretty open minded. So my sister, my brother, and all my family, they were like, "What? You're going where?" And she's like, "They're like, don't tell dad that you're leaving. Don't post anything on Facebook or he's gonna get suspicious." But when I gave them photos and things like that, they couldn't believe it, like based on what they're told. And when I actually stand over there, they really couldn't believe it. And all my siblings, they were just like enjoying every inch, like, where'd you go next, where's this location, where'd you go next, where's this location? Because a lot of the people, they don't know. I was the first in my family. Yes, my cousins have traveled, and they told me straight up that some of them actually, when they went, because of the way they were dressed, they had like beards and like nice hair and everything. Some people thought they were Jewish, and they started to play around saying, "Yeah, we are," but later confessed, like, "Okay, I'm not Jewish. I'm Muslim from America. How do you do?" It just shows that when people see with their eyes, they have a different perspective based on what they're told all their life versus social media and things like that. Sometimes you just got to break the door and see for yourself.
Yes, and I
And
would add something on my education world. I grew up in Belgium, in Brussels, where we have a small Jewish community and a very large Moroccan Muslim community. And no one in our community, no one, thought that would be good to have Moroccan kids and Jewish kids from immigration, and Jews were also immigration in Belgium, to meet each other, just kind of to do something each other. And we've been for each other, and we're living in the same neighborhoods, but we've been for each other enemies. We've been for each other people that don't know each other. We have some reasons. I think Soraya is talking
Sarah,
about.
you might need to do something to your mic. There.
Yes. And we've been on kind of people that don't know each other. And I think that this is where leadership matters. Take the kids to meet those that you don't know. At the end of the day, you're not born by hating anyone, you're born with love.
Yep.
Now, we as adults are responsible to keep the flame of love alive every day. It's a fight. It's a fight against hatred. It's a fight against our communities that don't do it. But why don't Muslim kids in New York will meet Jewish kids in New York just to meet each other? They will not hate each other after they spend a good afternoon playing soccer. Every boy loves soccer, so let's play soccer together. Let's do things that will create bonds. Then the kids will go back home and will say, "Hey, mother, I play with the Jewish kids. He didn't want to drink my blood." Oh, so you destroy the stereotype from the young generation. And I think it's possible to do it. And when you meet each other in this condition, that you understand that us as adults, we have the responsibility to fix the future. If not, we're going to go in a catastrophe world. We can do it, and it's much more easy than what we think.
I'm going to share a true story that I learned the hard way. Okay, so I had my baby after 9 years, right? And this lady, we say today that wherever she is, she was a gift in our life because I had my baby that way. And it turned out I would always monitor why she wearing her necklaces, and she had like the weird hat. Then I told someone Jewish that her name was Maya Shantz Toro. So someone Jewish told me that sounds like a Spanish Jew name, and it turned out that she was Jewish because of the way she was dressed and things like that. Now, I say today, I have a baby because of her. Am I going to literally just hate her because of a narrative, or I'm going to appreciate her for giving blessing to my life. And when I told that to my Jewish lady friend, she told me the same thing, that her doctor was a Muslim who helped her get through diseases and many towards things. It's amazing how people don't discover the good versus just keep crying over the bad stuff, which is really not necessary. And it's not going to help them, well, survive tomorrow in anything, almost, if you look at it. Nothing. And I
Mhm.
bless her. I miss that doctor in my life today. I say that my baby's 7, but she was the one who gave me hope to ever have a child. Now, I'm not going to hate her because of a narrative.
Mhm.
And these are the things people don't like to look into. Unfortunately, it's true. What would you have to say, Rhea? You're the last one here and the first one to vote. Let's see what you have to say. I'm going to unmute
Yes.
you for a second.
We want positive
Yes,
content.
I know.
Yeah, well, can you post the question again? I'm sorry. I just came out of this anti-Semitism in healthcare. We had 300 people on the call, um, so I couldn't leave early. Tell me again the question, Munisa.
I'm saying that in this perspective, I just asked Sasha, I asked Anila, and I'll ask you too. Where do you feel social media or internet influence is going to be in the next few years, in 2030? Is it going to be a good one or bad one?
For whom?
All of us, like Muslims, Jews, and based on what's being educated, versus real life itself, like how me, Sasha, and Anila were talking. We meet our relationship through real life, not really the internet's just a key, but we've met each other in real life. Now, would we keep worshiping internet, or would we just continue our relationship?
Um, I believe firmly that every setback is a setup for a comeback. So right now we are in a setback stage, but we are coming back. We know that between Anila and Sasha, we took like 2 delegations to Israel. So that had never happened. And I believe they both should exist. We need the internet. We also need what I was telling even the earlier call is we have people who are interested in the issues we are coming called to address. We have people who are committed. We have to find those who are committed. Because people, when I speak for the Jewish people and do the work I do because I want to do it, I look at what I bring to the table through the lens of what happened to Sarah Milgram. I look at it through the lens of what happened to Paul Kessler. I look at it through the lens of what happened to my rabbi friend who I took to the mosque and who heard um, hateful rhetoric towards the Jews. And I'm invested in this work, in that I want to make that change. So we have to find those partners. That is very important. So we will continue to use both as resources, and we need to. But when we have one-on-one contact, what is lacking for me is story. We need to hear more Jewish stories. We need to hear more Muslim stories. And those stories can bring a balance to our brokenness.
No, I agree to that, Suraya, because when I speak to my one of my Jewish friends who always asks for my safety in Texas, that are you all right? Are you safe right now? Is everything okay? And one thing she always would educate me, she would always educate me the best stuff as someone Jewish. She's like, people need to learn history and they need to learn it really, really good. She's the one who gave me about the Japan War, like what happened to the people and how they were treated in the War of Japan. Like right here, how Japanese people were treated, they had to live in the tents. Then she would also educate me what have Muslims done and how they help Jews in what format. For someone who's 60, she's very smart. And she used to work for the Traveling Plat and other Brock, and so used to be for Sahar TV also before she got a job in New Jersey. She's a pretty active person, and she would always give me sources that, look, this is how stuff proceeded. And she would do self education herself, and she would preach that self education and put in her own format that what did she learn, and tell me the same, that, hey, look, this is what it was. And now, 2, 3 years later, after October 7th, her as Jewish tells me that she, after doing some self education, she has learned there's many different type of Muslims with different views. They don't come from the same circle. She told me that as Jewish because she wanted to study. She wanted to study how many type of different Muslims have different visions, what type of culture do they come from. And she tells me that now, like as Jewish, that not many Jews know that Muslims come from different culture. And once you learn for yourself, you blend in. I didn't know that. She told me that some Jews do agree with each other, some don't. Some have different perspectives, some don't. But that doesn't
Oh,
mean
and
they're
we
gonna.
don't agree. No one agrees with each other. I can tell you, we have all the
Well,
point of
welcome to
disagreement.
our world then, huh? We yell at
And
each other all the
disagreement is beautiful because disagreement is a way of speaking, of discussing, of reinventing the world. But disagreement is not doesn't mean that we need to hate each other. And I think that we have made disagreement as a way to not communicate anymore, and we have made the disagreement as the main thing. Instead of saying, when the Greek built democracy, they were fighting about how it should look like. They didn't agree. They hated each other for that, but they built it. And um, and when Israel was founded, people didn't agree between how to found the country of Israel. They were fight among ourselves, and we continue to fight among ourselves. If you go to the Israeli parliament, which is the Knesset, and I think that Alina and Soraya visited, you have Muslim leaders in the Knesset of Israel.
Not many know that. Yeah.
With the policies of the Jews. The Jews don't agree between the religious, the secular, the Mizrahim, and the Ashkenazi. It's a very complicated system, but we live together without agreeing. And sometimes the agreement, you have demonstration, you go outside, you express yourself, but then democracy wins. And I think this is one of the most important part to let democracy win when democracy has won. But let's not agree because it's the beauty of our life. But let's respect each other. I think this is the most important part.
One thing I can say with the pride as being an American with a Pakistani background is that honestly, one thing my mother told me is that, and it's true, I didn't believe it at first, but it's too good to be true. She said, um, if Jews are not going to be there, let's say like Muslim stuff has been, but Muslim cannot survive without a Jew because the only thing is like, for example, the kosher law, things like Jewish people can sell it to the Muslims regarding there, but the Christians can't, and that's something my mom said. If there's ever, God forbid, a time, Muslim people cannot survive without a Jew.
I don't know
It
if
just
they cannot survive or not. I don't think this is the question, but I think that
no,
Jews.
but she educated me because of values, like
I will tell you, I was writing. I don't know if you know in the Jewish practice, every Saturday we go to the synagogue to read the Torah, the Bible.
Mhm.
And last week in the Bible, we read the section of one of the most important section in history, actually, of Yitro. Yitro is the father-in-law of Moshe, of Moses, and this is the time that the people of Israel received the Ten Commandments. And when we received the Ten Commandments, it was the first time in history that we had a transition between ruling from power and fear and ruling from values. It's the first time in history that values have been brought to the world by the Jewish people to not steal, to respect the parents. And the Jews have brought first values to the world before the Muslim religion has been born, before everything was born, before Christianity was born. The first thing that Jews have brought to the world is what are the set of values that we want our world to look like? The Ten Commandments that Moses received from God. And then there was another very important moment during this part of this section of the Torah that we read. When Yitro, the father-in-law of Moses, met him, he had a conversation. He told Moses, "You people look like a mess today. You need to organize it. And to organize it, you need to have leadership. You need to have, and at the time they call him the judges in the Torah. You need to have judges that will be empowered by you to manage their tribes, to manage their community. And this is the first course, and I call it this way, the first course of modern management in history in the Torah before any books. You go today, management, book of management, you have schools of management, MBA, like big classes. The first course of management was in the Torah. So my message to the world is learn about the Jewish values, learn about the Jewish history, then you realize a lot of the foundation of the modern society are built on that. The best example is last week, Parasha, we call it, the section in the Torah that speaks about that with the Ten Commandments and the famous conversation of leadership that Moses needed to build to manage his people and also to say, no one is above law. Because what happened when Moses wanted to enter the land of Israel, Canaan? He was not authorized. You know what? God told him, "You stay out of it," because when you were in Egypt, you killed one of the Pharaoh soldiers. And there is a law, the Ten Commandments, you do not kill, right? And he didn't let him enter Israel. And he told him, "You know why? Because you killed someone." And this is the first time in history that not only law has been made, but also law has been applied to humans. And no one is above law. And I think this is also a message that we make, that we build a foundation for a good society.
Victoria, is there a heavy echo in your background? That's why I muted you for a second. Oh, there's a lot of echo in your thing. That's why I did it. Yeah. Hang on.
I want to
Our
add
home is
something to what Sasha is saying. Just one sec. Sasha, do you know that you're actually teaching Muslims the Torah, which is what we have to do as Muslims, right? We come from Judaism. We are the line, the same heritage with the younger, the naughty, newer religion. But we, as Muslims, we must know what's in the Torah. That's the foundation of Islam, yet we don't. And
There's no lie in that.
and I am so always awed by the when I hear Jewish people around the world, they start reading Torah together. And where do we get our Quran from? We these days our young people are getting it from TikTok. They're getting it from these websites.
Quran.com is a really bad influence versus your scriptures of your parents. It's really important when you see Quran.com. If you're a Muslim anyway, it's really important to ask your parents that, hey, did you ever study this stuff? I know my family reads the thick covered book. They don't even go on the internet, but I do ask them, like, look, this is what the internet says. Does your book say any of these things? And they look at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, it's published all over the internet, like Quran.com. And those scriptures, they can change. And one of the things people don't understand is that, look, there's a scripture before and after. It's how Muslim Brotherhood educates it. And Muslim Brotherhood's been there before some of the people were even born. So if you're going to open up their textbooks, you need to study their laws. It's terrible. So when I showed that to my parents, they gave me one answer that no, they didn't study this type of stuff. And
Muna,
they
if they hadn't, if your parents, now think about the 300 years of Muslim leadership in India, some of the best scholarship on Islam and translation of the Quran came from Fazlur Rahman in India. And there are Turkish scholars now who tell me, Anila, look to your, the scholars that were pre-partition, the Muslims in India. They came out with teachings that were the enlightened, moderate teachings that Jews, Muslims, Christians, they lived together in Andalusia. And that was the most prosperous time of Islam when they worked together with the Jews and Christians, especially Jews. And also, our young people are not being taught to engage in the text. You're talking about the text. You're
Ray, do you want to say something? There's an echo in your
my phone is on. They have to mute it, I think.
Soraya, do you
I
want to
just
say?
want to, is that me? I don't know. I just want to
Yes.
add to what Shasha was saying.
I
Exodus
Yeah.
18:18.
Yeah.
Jethro
But
tells
watch out for the
Moses,
echo.
It's on your side, Soraya.
is it mine?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's.
how come?
I have no clue. I'm not sure if you're on from your phone or what, but that's the echo noise. That's why I muted you. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Quickly, I want
If you want to talk, I'll unmute you. But
Exodus 18.
yeah, that's your window. I don't know what it is, but yeah, if you want to talk, go ahead.
Yes. I want to say Exodus 18:18 tells us a powerful lessons for our times where Jethro tells Moses, for the task is too heavy for you. You cannot do it alone. We have to build allyship, and that is where the first lesson in community organizing arose. Later, Dr. King, Cesar Chavez, and so many people launched successful mass movements. But where it began was how we can organize, build power by delegating work to other to strategic to be able to take strategic action. So it goes back to Exodus 18:18. For the task is too heavy for you. You cannot do it alone. And that's where we are today in fighting anti-Semitism. We need allyship.
One thing I can say, Surayan, you had really funny goosebumps before. You know it, I know it, is where when I seen you the second time, I started speaking Urdu in front of Suraya, and I forgot that she's a Sri Lanka Muslim. They don't speak Urdu. I got stumped twice doing that, and she's like, "Oh, I don't speak Urdu." And the second time, she told me that too. I don't speak Urdu. I'm like, I forgot. She's from Sri Lanka. She doesn't have a Pakistani background. And I always remember the first and second time I met Soraya and how I felt foolish for speaking in Urdu in front of her. But then I realized later with the mistake that she wasn't a Pakistani Muslim. She's a Sri Lanka
You might
Muslim.
know a lot
And
of
she
words
doesn't
now. You have to ask her, Muna. You might know a lot of words. She's surrounded by Pakistan.
speak. She didn't understand me. She didn't understand me at all. And I'm like, oops, I forgot you don't speak Urdu. So it just
All right.
shows, like, you just gotta, and she has a Buddhist background. It just shows there's so many different people like that. There's a difference what the social media tells you and when you actually start meeting people in person. And I'm telling you, when Sasha invited me to the Hanukkah party, my brother and sisters could not believe it. They're like, "That's Israel? We didn't think it would be like that." And seeing people like dance around, celebrating music, they're like, "That's not Israel. It can't be." They're like, "Now we want to come
It
visit."
was
I'm like,
fun, right? We had a good time.
yes,
That
and
was a
my brother and
beautiful
sister,
event.
they couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
They're like, "That's Israel?" I'm like, "Yes, that's Israel." And they couldn't believe the performance they are seeing in there. They're like,
But if
"Unbelievable
you look
social
also, I think
media
there is
didn't
an
go like
important
that."
message also today to not forget, is to look at the Abraham Accords and what's happening today in the Middle East. And in our belief, all religion have been created in this region. The prophets came from the region of the Middle East.
Yeah.
And our story and our history is coming from here, as we spoke about Sinai and we spoke about other things like that. So definitely the Middle East has a role to play. But then you see Abraham Accords, a Jew and a Muslim going together in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, in Bahrain, and we see that we're expanding to other region. And I think that the message of what we can fix in this region, we need to be able to export. If Jews, Israeli Jews, with the conflict, can be friends and make peace with Muslim nations in the region, why we cannot do in the street of America? Why we
Yep.
cannot do in the street of Europe? And I can do it in my everyday life in Israel, because in Israel we live with Muslims. Israelis Muslim, not just Muslim. Israeli
And
with
it's
a
also,
passport. They have the blue card. The flag of these people are the flag of Israel, and we live together. We may not love each other, but I can tell you, if you come to my neighborhood, you're gonna see every day my Jewish neighbors working with Muslim neighbors because they're working in our neighborhood. We don't kill each other. We don't insult each other. No one is saying global intifada. No one is saying from the north to the free Palestine will be free. We just say let's respect a little bit. And I think that the world needs to see what's happening in this region to understand that it's possible to make a change.
it is. And Sasha,
Sasha,
you're absolutely
uh,
right.
Go ahead,
Muna,
Soraya. Now that your
Muna,
echo is fixed, you can talk a little
Sasha,
bit.
I have always wondered, this thought has been coming to me so loud. Why aren't the Arab Israelis, these Muslims you're talking about, speaking up? Because they could bring a lot of resolution, speaking to the Arabs through their lens of they're enjoying the safety, they're enjoying a prosperous life, they have good relations. And why aren't they, Sasha? What is the fear? Should we tackle that first also?
Ask Anina why. Anina's answer is not easy to be a hero. It's not easy to go out, to be under attack, to be under pressure. It is not easy. And we wish people to be more like you, Soraya, more like you, Muna, more like you, Anina. It's not easy what you do. So I have a tremendous respect for the courage that you bring to the world and the leadership that you brought. But it's not an easy task. You have some Muslim Israelis that speak out and they travel the world. But I will be honest, when people say the truth is not so accepted. So we need more, and some of them make an impact, and you make an impact. So um,
I when I tried sitting in spaces, Sasha, to have a reasonable conversation other than my community, and I have been judged before, which is why on my X account I took Israel and the Pakistani flag off. I've been judged that, oh, you're either a Pakistani or you're a Zionist, and that's how Rihandra feels too from Canada. That if we just say something in the favor of Jews, we're either a terrorist or a Zionist. So I, due to that, whenever I wanted to have a suitable conversation and point out statistics, and I've been kicked out of spaces. It's either I'm hated or kicked out of spaces, but not get to the point what I want to make. And it's still been like that today, even today. And they didn't believe me. And in fact, when I wanted to educate the Pakistani politicians, they thought I was Indian. I'm either from India or someplace. I'm like, I've never been to India in my life. I wish maybe one day I'll go. And my dad's like, I don't know how you'll cross because they have double security policy. So I'm like, maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll accept me with my American passport or whatever, but my parents can't go. So they were like, you're Indian. I'm like, I'm not Indian. And then they called me something else, but they would never ever call me a Muslim. They're like, nah, you're no damn Muslim. You're somebody else, trying to be somebody else, or you're Jewish. I'm like, dude, I am a Muslim. I speak in Urdu. What more do you want? They don't believe me. And it just shows that so many people refuse to believe in anything different. And I grew up that way with my parents. I would invite Indians to my house, Mexicans, or whoever, anyone extra you could think of, that if we get along, you are coming to my party. That's the policy. If me and you get along, you are coming to any of my parties. But the world, it doesn't work like that anymore, especially after social media influence. I wish it did, but it doesn't.
You know,
yes, but there is change, and I will go back. Look at the Emirates. They changed. The Emirates was a Muslim Brotherhood nation. They fight back. They stood up. They woke up.
that's
And
true.
you see today Azerbaijan. You see today Albania. You see today so many places, Bahrain, that try to change and try to have an impact. We need to have these voices heard. And the United States of America, under Trump leadership, if we like him or not, it doesn't matter. They put the Abraham Accord as a priority for all nations. And I think that this is very important, that any American administration will understand that pushing forward Israel, Muslim nations, Christian nations, America, to form the Abraham Accord, which is a shield for a world, because if the Abrahamic religion that start the world together, that we build everything together, and we spoke, and Anila mentioned it, that it started in the Torah, then you have the prophet that came. We have the same God. We have the same history. Abraham is the father of our both religion. And we have a joined world to fix, to build together. And we can make it because we're making it today here. So it's possible to make it in other places.
Sasha, do you remember on October 7th, and after that, when we spoke at the March for Israel rally, my
Yes.
message was very simple. It was standing with the Israelis, how Hamas butchered them. It was a simple message of peace. And the entire world went crazy. Why? Because a Muslim dared to speak for a Zionist nation. The Quran is Zionist. Allah gives the right to the people of Israel clearly in the Quran, and it becomes something bad to stand with Israel on that horrific day. Anyone who speaks gets ostracized, silenced in their own communities. So whether it's Arab these days, as a Pakistani, I led the Pakistani delegation to Israel. We did not get attacked for going and seeking the truth. We got attacked later on in America for being Zionist allies. Pakistan went ballistic. We want to go to Israel. We want the water technology. We want everything. And I had taken that delegation with the blessing of Imran Khan's government, with a Pakistani Jew. So the women that were here after October 7th, part of AMWAC, that had been with me fighting terrorism, and the same organizations in America like CARE and ICNA, Shura
Terrorists
Council,
are powerful.
they all were harassed. They couldn't enter the mosque controlled by the Arabs. And several times, Arab women in the past have come to me in America and said, We don't know how you Pakistanis and Bangladeshis do it. We wouldn't be able to do it. The whole community works like it does in Gaza. That you are, if you're a rat and if you make friends with someone who supports Israel, we will not talk to you. Your kids and you cannot come to the mosque. So, is everyone going to be Anila, Suraya, or Muna?
Look at how you've been blocked out just because you gave facts. So any political party is trying to block out your voice from all over, even today, just because you're a Muslim who went to Israel. You wanted to show a positive impact. And my brother-in-law said the same thing. I mean, hey, it's in the world now. You can't just, it's like 2026. Get over it. It's time to move on. There's nothing wrong with it. He was pretty happy about it. And he feel that like some people just should move on with it. It's not like you're going to gain anything reversing in time, and it's not going to get you anywhere being stuck in one circle for all your life. And I agree with him, and he was very proud, and he feels like if he says like please let Pakistan make peace with Israel so my passport will approve to visit Israel. Right now he can't go because he has that passport.
And by the way, that was what I had told the Qataris. And I said, listen, you have preached this hatred that you have for your own cousins for the past centuries. And now you've made it a point to divide us in faith. And you are doing it in America. And I said, when I was 16 years old and standing at Speaker's Corner, London, I said the same thing to them. I said, if we make peace, if all the Jews and Muslims and Christians come together for Jerusalem, for God, for Allah, for Torah and the Bible and the Quran, imagine what a world it would have been and how strong we would have been as a Muslim Jewish community. That these people like the Qataris or whoever the Muslim Brotherhood, Al Qaeda, ISIS, they all attacked Pakistan, and you're saying that that ideology doesn't affect you and it's the Zionists and Israel is your enemy. Look within. Muslims have to acknowledge that their enemy is within. It is not Israel, it's not the Jew, it's not Zionism. It is their own fringe groups that have taken away the
Teachers
of
like
Islam.
the mullahs. That's what happened in Iran. They first of all, Shasta, I'm not sure if you ever studied. They literally stole the ideology, claiming it's their own, but actually they stole the ideology. And for 47 years after stealing the Muslim Brotherhood ideology, they impressed, like pressured and tortured their own people without having to verify or understand or let their people even know is it even real or not. I mean, Shah was a Muslim too, but life was not like how it is currently in Iran. It's a jail. It's a jail. And more social media, those who speak the truth for the Iranians, rather you're Muslim, same answer. You're going to be blocked out. They're going to find ways to block you out.
Yes, I will need to go, so I'd like to have final words on my side. Really, to say that the responsibility and the leadership is everything. And we need to be able to communicate that to others that we cannot make this alone. And depends on which role we want to see. And I think that the ability, I don't know many people that want to say and believe in seeing a world of chaos. Most of normal human beings would like to see a world of peace. And they need to understand that we are a point in history that we need to take the responsibility to act. And the quantity of people ready to speak out, ready to study, ready to learn is not big enough. And with today democracy of the information, you can all study, you can all learn. The information is online. You can ask people, and believe me, if you want to be informed, you can be informed. And then you want to use social media to speak out, you can use social media to speak out. If you want to write a blog, you can write a blog. But things will not change if we don't do it ourselves. And I deeply believe that we have the power to do it and we can do it.
That's true. Absolutely. We need more people to join us. So, all of you that are watching us, please share our stuff. I think it's important for Muslims who are sitting on the sidelines, my moderate Muslims who are quiet. It's time for you to take stand because it's all about attacking your religion, Muslims, and they are going to be speaking for you. By they, I mean the Muslim Brotherhood. It's also, I feel, it's also, Muna, it's just Muslims don't even understand how the whole extremism came into Islam
They
and
don't.
Islam
They
and
don't.
political Islam. And how do we educate all of them? That's our biggest struggle, Sasha. That's our biggest struggle, to educate Muslims. So we've started talking on TikTok in different languages. We speak in Punjabi, which is spoken in by almost a billion across Pakistan, India, and the rest of the world. Urdu, Punjabi, Sindhi, Bengali. We're using all of these languages to educate the people who are not indoctrinated with the Jew hatred, because we grew up with a very moderate, enlightened version of Islam. And that's what Muslim Brotherhood and their allies want to take away from us. That's why you saw our children, many of them holding a Hamas flag instead of holding an American flag and saying, if you want peace for Palestine, end Hamas. Why didn't they do that? And I want to say this to everybody who's using all of these narratives. If you really wanted peace for the Palestinians, right, and you wanted a state for them, why didn't you rejoice when the ceasefire happened? Why did you continue to call it the resistance movement? Because your resistance movement is really not peace. You don't want them to live in peace with their neighbors. And that's the global struggle being used, all the radicals in all the mosques. And keep educating. You're doing a great job, Muna. Sometimes I feel like for you that we get attacked on the internet, but we can't stop, because we will meet all the prophets when we go up, and God is going to say to Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, you're my best friend, like he did in the Quran.
I feel like I'm everybody's best friend. I have tolerance because I'm used to tolerating things with patience, even though it's not, even though I lose my patience sometimes listening to too much, but I
Always.
it's the truth, but I learned it from the best. And as Sasha, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be able to come to your event if I haven't learned from the most educated Jews who inspired me this education. In fact, I was nervous first. I'm like, I don't have enough number. My content's boring. I'm a historian. I'm not about, like, debating or insulting anymore. I share history. And she's like, no, I want you to go to this delegation program, and you're pretty educated. Don't just sit there and be afraid that you don't have enough numbers, you can't go. She's like, I'll help you if not required, but go to this program. She educated me a lot. She used to be a part of Traveling Clad, Other Brock, and Sahar TV, and we still talk today from New Jersey. And she teach me the best stuff regarding Jews and Muslim history. And she feels like people need to really understand education. Without education, they're not going to understand anything, because education has a really important play. Other than just religion itself, it's also the education, what you're being told.
Very important.
And a lot of the people don't know education. They just go on the religious narrative, but not education itself.
Thank you so much. With that, I'm going to also beg leave. Keep doing this, Muna, and always happy to see my friend, my dearest friend, working on this for a
We
long
need to
time.
have a reunion. We need to do a reunion party.
Yes, yes, anytime Sasha Combat invites us to Israel, we'll all go.
Mm.
And
Thank
one
you.
Gift. We'll
one
bring him a gift this
going
time.
to Pakistan. Muna, Sasha is going to Pakistan with us, inshallah.
Amen, inshallah.
Yes, I'll be happy to take him, and we'll be his guardians. Nothing's gonna happen to him. We'll
Yep.
be his guardians.
My friend,
So,
my brother, my life. Yes. All right, everyone.
all
Thank
right,
you
thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Take care. I'm gonna get ready to end it. Take care. See you next time, guys.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.